Welcome to my channel. I am Maricita Colours in English. Hello, my dear friends of Maricita Colours in English. Today we have a new knitting pattern. Are these nice mittens or gloves without fingers? I made with a nice fantasy stitch. I begin here with the rib stitch. After this I made some rows with the fantasy stitch, and for finish I make again the rib stitch. You can make the long that you prefer. Look, my heart is very nice, really. Here I have 52 stitches. We have not increases or decreases. You must make two pieces the same. The size is for teenagers and for us, the adults. Here I let 5 centimeters for the finger. I made only one long, and after this I close and sew with the needle for sew yarns. I use 50 grams of acrylic yarn and the needles number 3 millimeters. You know that here in Germany is very cold, for these are ideals for winter. And with this beautiful nature here in Germany, we will learn to make these knitted mittens. For make these mittens, I will use the needles number 3 millimeters, 50 grams of acrylic yarn. In the etiquette says that I can use needles between 3 until 4, but I will use the 3 millimeter for that my thread is a little tight. I will need two scissors and the needle for sew the laterals. Here I will show you how I calculate my stitches. In my mittens I have 52 stitches. Here I will make the pattern with 20 stitches. So I will involve 20 times the yarn in my needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18, 19, and 20. I will let some centimeters more and will let out the yarn of the needle. And from here I will make the stitches. We will cast on. I open the yarn with the left hand and the needle into the center, and from the left to the right to the needle. We repeat. Here I have 2 stitches from the left to the right and the yarn on the needle. Like this I will make the 20 stitches. $19 and 20 stitches. 20 puntos en español. We turn the knitting work, and from here I will begin to make the rib stitch. The rib stitch is 1 knit stitch and 1 purl stitch, and we must repeat. So here I will begin with the knit stitch. back the needle and catch the yarn into the front for make the purl stitch. From the right to the left, we insert into the stitch. We involve the needle and back the needle and catch the new yarn. And these go out. Again, yarn into the back and we make the knit stitch. Like this, we must repeat until that we finish the row. Almost I finished the row. I make here one knit stitch and I finish with one purl stitch. For that my border is uniform, I pull a little the yarn. Now we will make the second row. Like the last stitch, bar purl stitch in the reverse is the opposite, so is the knit stitch. From this second row, I only pass the first stitch from the needle to the left to the right. Only we pass. This is a tip for that the border is uniform. Now I must make one purl stitch, the yarn into the front, and from the right to the left, we make the purl stitch. For make the knit, we must make the yarn into the back. We must repeat until finish the row. Here almost I finish the second row. I made the knit stitch and for finish the purl stitch. We pull a little the yarn and here you can see a little the rib stitch. When the yarn of the begin is in the right side, for me this is the front of my work. Here I will tell you how many centimeters has my mittens. From long 24 centimeters and from wide almost 9 centimeters. Altogether is 18 centimeters. I let open here for the finger is 5 centimeters. The stitches that is in the fingers is almost 4 centimeters of long. The fantasy stitch almost 8 centimeters. And the rest is 13 stitches or 13 centimeters. In my mittens I make 9 rows and after this I begin with the fantasy stitch. This fantasy stitch is a little similar to the sit stitch, but it's like the rib stitch with a little variation. Here almost I finish the 4th row of the rib stitch. This is the reverse. We turn the knitting work and here I will make the 5th row. When I made the 9th row of my rib stitch, in the reverse I will make the variation of the rib stitch. So here I will make this last row with the rib stitch. Almost I finished the row of the rib stitch. Always I pull, for that is uniform my border. And here I am in the reverse. I will begin with the fantasy stitch. Only I will make one knit stitch in every stitch until that we finish the row. This is the variation of the rib stitch. Here almost I finished the row only of knit stitches. We turn the knitting work and now I am in the front and look, appears these stitches. This is a variation. And now for the front again we will repeat the rib stitch. And we must alternate until that we will have the long that we prefer. So here I find the purl stitch, but I will make like the knit stitch. Always the first stitches in all the rows, I only pass the stitch. So here I will make only the rib stitch. I finish the row of the rib stitches. We pull a little always. We turn the knitting work, and for the reverse I only must make knit stitches. The first stitch we pass, and in every stitch we make one knit stitch. Punto derecho en español. Rib stitch, punto elástico en español. Purl stitch, punto revés en español. Here I finish the row only of knit stitches, and now we are again in the front. And here you can see the fantasy stitch, only with this little variation of the rib stitch. Here in my mittens, I only count the purl stitches 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14 purl stitches, so altogether are 28 rows. And when I finish the fantasy stitch, I begin again with the rib stitch. The 28 rows are almost 8 centimeters of long. So when you have the long that you prefer, you will begin again with the rib stitches. Here I have not increases or decreases. I always work with the 52 stitches. From the rib stitches of the breast, I have 13 centimeters that were 40 rows. You can make the long of your mittens that you prefer. Here I will begin again with the rib stitch for the front and for the reverse, and I come back for show you how we will close the stitches. Here almost I finish the rib stitch for the reverse. I turn the knitting work, and now for the front we will close the stitches. I will use the knit stitches. The first stitch I will pass, and the second I will make only the knit stitch. I make a little loose the stitches, and the first will pass over the second, and the second will stay in the needle. Not so strong, not so tight. Again, one knit stitch, and the first pass over the second. One knit stitch, and the first over the second. Like this, I will close all the stitches. Here I will close the last stitch. I will make the knit stitch, and the first pass over the second, and the second stay in the needle. And here we close all the stitches. For close the thread, I will let 10 or 10 centimeters. I will cut the yarn, and I will open the last stitch, and I will pass, or I will bring the yarn into this last stitch, and we pull, and I push a little for that my work is uniform. So these are a little mini mittens. Now I have my video advance where I show you how I close my mittens. Here I will tell you how many centimeters have my mittens. From long I have 24, it's the same that I told you before. From wide approximately I have 16 centimeters, but remember that our thread is a stretch. For the part of up is 4 centimeters of rib stitches. From the fantasy stitch is 8 centimeters. And from the rib stitches for the breast are 13 centimeters. So this is the front of my work, and I will turn. This is the reverse. Look, it's very nice, this thread in the reverse too. So now we will close the laterals. This is the reverse, and I join reverse with reverse, and I will sew for the front of the worms. I must sew this long until the space that we must leave for the finger, and again until the another edge. So I will begin here, front with front. I will use the needle for sew the yarns. I insert the needle in front in the edge, and I begin to sew our mittens. From here I will open a little the stitches, and I will find a horizontal stitch. And in front we will sew our mittens. I close approximately 14 centimeters. And from here I will use the another yarn, and I will let the space for our finger. Again, I find the edge, and I start to sew from in front. When you have ready the space for the finger, I have approximately 5 centimeters. We must sew for the reverse of our mittens. We must sew a little strong here for that is not open in the place of the finger. Here I will pass the needle to the reverse and I will begin to sew for make secure our mitten. When you see that your yarn is secure, we can cut. You must make the same with the another yarn. And we have ready our beautiful mittens en mitten, mitones en español. It's very easy to make, and here in Germany the people use a lot this model. Before I finish my video, I want to invite you to subscribe here in my channel Maricita Colours in English. It's total free. Remember, activate the bell for that you receive all the posts when I have a new video. And if you like this video, you can give one like and share it with your family and friends. Thank you very much to all the persons that always write me, like Carla in Netherlands. And we see us in my next crochet or knitting pattern. Ciao, ciao!